Hello, it is a cousin, and I've got a box of Baby Hazy. No, I don't, because it's the season recap of season 6 of the BREWDOG series.
I get a kick out of brew.
So yeah, we have concluded the 6th series of the BREWDOG series. There was a few odd beers between season 5 and season 6, but they really are about 3 beers I did. 2 of them I did back to back, and then one I did, I think one of them was a Wingman and a cold beer peach. And then I did another one either before or after that, which happened to be a BrewDog, but that didn't really warrant it being its own series. So a 5.5 at best, a season 5.5. This is season 6, where we did 6 beers, and I have to say, for some reason, this did not feel like a BrewDog series. This was a pretty odd BrewDog series or beer tasting series. These are the ones Joe gave me. The reason I had the Baby Hazy box is because he just gave me these 4 in the Baby Hazy box. I know he got this one from the BrewDog bar, although I only saw him get one, and I know he's done his own, I was going to say his own video on that, but he hasn't released that and probably won't for about 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Who knows, maybe a decade later. But yeah, this was, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a BrewDog series. It felt like, I don't know, it feels like BrewDog have gone in a different direction. I think, okay, so all of them, bar these 2, seem to be part of this new brand where they but they have brewed fresh on the cans. And overall, it was a very mid to alright okay series. So we started off with the Sprucey Lucy, just shook the whole table there, and worked our way through all these beers to the Kiwi Hammer. At this point in time, I've only uploaded up to here. So I still have these 3 to be uploaded, these 2 to be edited, and I've just finished that one, which I can't say I liked. So yeah, we started off with the Sprucey Lucy, which is sponsored by Spar, or made in collaboration with Spar, the supermarket. And that got a 4.5 on its design. And now I know that it's done by Spar. I don't disagree with that. This is one out of 2 beers in this series that actually look like a BrewDog beer. I think you can guess what the other one is. As for taste, very average, 3 with an overall of 3.5. So yeah, maybe a bit above average, but nothing special really. Then we moved on to Hells. So one thing I didn't know about this is it might not be called Hells. It might be called Meltdown. So on this part of the can, it says Twin Atlantic in white. All this other stuff in white, but in yellow it says Meltdown. So Joe reckons it's called Meltdown, and it's done in collaboration with Twin Atlantic, and that's their symbol there. As far as its design goes, I gave it a 5. I really liked the design for this one. And then I gave it a 3.5 on taste. And I have to admit, the more I drank it, the more I liked it. I could have bumped that up to a 4, but I gave its overall a 4. Joe, he said that's a god tier beer. He really liked this one. As for Orange Crush, the next one we did, this one I gave a 4 on design because it did look like an Orange Crush. And in its taste, a 3.5. I wouldn't say I enjoyed its taste too much, but it did taste like oranges. But I was expecting it to be the sweet oranges and not the bitter orange aftertaste, which it did have. So couldn't really argue with that, and I gave it a 3.5 on both taste and overall. So yeah, another 3.5 there. And then we did Baby Hazy, which was, I think, from orange to Baby Hazy is where it just got wacky. Baby Hazy wasn't, it was a very weak beer, only 3%. Turns out that's weaker than both Coors Light and Bud Light, and probably the weakest beer I've ever had. And it just tasted very refreshing, and which is good, but also a bit like mouthwash. So yeah, it's nice, light and refreshing, but I just gave it a 3 all the way through design, taste and overall. Then we got onto the Aldi IPA, or ALD IPA, a BrewDog beer clearly sponsored or done in collaboration with Aldi. This is the only other one that looks like a BrewDog beer with Sprucey Lucy, and they're the only 2 that don't have that brewed fresh thing. So maybe these 4 are a new look they're going for. I gave this design a 4.5 because I thought that really did look like how an Aldi BrewDog beer should look. A 4 on taste. I remember it tasted a bit watered down. That could have been because I've frozen it. And I gave its overall a 4. So yeah, probably along with the Hells or Meltdown, a recommendable beer. The 2 better ones of this season. And then I've just done the Kiwi Hammer. Yeah, that just got a 2 on everything. Really didn't like it, and it left a nasty aftertaste in my mouth. I'm contemplating, because Joe did give me 1 extra beer that's not a BrewDog. I'm contemplating having that after this, just to get that taste out of my mouth. So yeah, that was definitely the worst one in the series. We did range everywhere between a 2 and a 4 with these 2 here, with the rest being either a 3 or a 3.5. So what I'm going to do is just rearrange them in ranking order, as is chronological order, and yeah, go from there. So okay, and there you have them in order from best to worst. At the top here, we've got 2 4 out of 5 beers, the Hells / Meltdown and the Ald IPA. In the 3.5 category, we've got the Sprucey Lucy and the Orange Crush. And then in the 3 out of 5, we've got Baby Hazy, and then at the bottom, Kiwi Hammer with a 2 out of 5. Now, even though these are both 4s and these are both 3.5s, I've put them in this order because if you add their scores together, these have the same score and these have the same score, but I think out of these 2, I'd recommend the Hells a bit more. It just tasted nicer the more I drank, whereas this one was lacking a bit on taste, and I think this has the best design. I say that even though I gave that a higher taste than that, but like I said, I could easily bump that up to a 4 anyway. On these 2, I kind of gave this a better rating because it tasted how oranges taste, maybe just not in the good way. And I preferred the Sprucey Lucy. Then we had the really light Baby Hazy, and that's always going to be at the bottom. Of all the BrewDog beers I've done, I would keep this at the bottom. I think the only thing it's better than is probably Nanny Stately and the other alcohol-free ones by BrewDog. But yeah, I'd only really recommend them from here onwards. And this one is more for aesthetics, even though it did get the highest on taste, and this got the highest on design. These are the 2 to take away from this season. But ultimately, if I had to choose a winner, it is this one, which Joe will be happy about. So with that being said, this is the conclusion to BrewDog Season 6. Will there be another BrewDog season? Probably, just not in this setting. And I'm probably going to do the next beer. Am I going to do that today? No, I'm too tired. I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe before I go, I might be able to squeeze 1 or 2 more beers from the corner shop. It depends, but for now, this has been the cousin. Hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have, please like, subscribe, share, and all that other shit. And yeah, I just recommend these two beers, and that's all I can say for this pretty average series, and a pretty weird one from BrewDog. I will of course be cutting all these cans and adding them to the collection, and I will see you in the next one. One thing I noticed after I cut the video, where I said these two feel like or look like BrewDog beers, it's because they have this layout where they have the BrewDog badge, but then they have BrewDog down the side with what most BrewDogs have, the percentage, what that beer is, and then this 330 milliliter, or depending on the can size, and then a little quote down the side. Quote, a little saying. And then I think most of them have the percentage, yeah, to the corner here. Whereas the designs on these ones, they're lacking that bit there. It does say BrewDog and it does have the quote, but then on these ones, the percentage is in the middle, and they've got this brewed fresh sign, which is on all of them. There, and there. So are these four over here the new template of BrewDog beers? I don't know if they are. Can't say I prefer it. I prefer the classic BrewDogs. Although that is a really good design, but that's an exception.